Hi, my name is Justin Massian, and this is a practical guide on how to create the #1 ecosystem in computing. Apple invented the personal computer, Microsoft brought us Windows, Google brought us search and Android, and VirtuOS, my company, is going to bring us 3D and multi-dimensional computing. Now, I use the word ecosystem because just like Apple and Microsoft and Google, the four of us are the only ones who are making the operating system, the devices, and the apps all together as an ecosystem. So this is a guide on how to become #1 amongst three of the biggest companies in the world. So let's start with the problem. Kids are growing up with amazing game experiences. They've got dual screen 3DSs from Nintendo that are dual screen, 3D, and just so much fun and so advanced. And then when they become adults, they have to downgrade to these single screen, flat, kind of boring phones that are 4 times as expensive. It just doesn't really make sense. And it's the same thing with game consoles and computers. For $300, you can get a multiplayer games console that you plug into a big screen TV and have this amazing multiplayer 3D experience. But then when you're an adult, you buy a $3,000 iMac that's two-dimensional, flat, and only one person can really use at a time. Doesn't make sense to me. Now, billions of kids and adults, they're 3D ready. Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, they've been training people for years to get ready for 3D computing. And it's our job to introduce 3D to the masses because the old system, it just doesn't work anymore. Windows, Mac, and Android, they hide everything behind these icons. You can open an icon, close an icon, open the next icon, close the next app, so on and so forth. You're always opening and closing things. Whereas with VirtuOS, with this 3D operating system, I'm introducing this methodology of having everything always open, being able to arrange your apps and websites and so on in spatial workflows, and to be able to arrange things in a spatial environment so that you can literally go into different worlds and have different workflows open and never have to open and close and open and close. It's just always open and always arranged three-dimensionally, however you'd like. It's our job as a company to evolve UI design standards. So GUI was invented a long time ago. They brought the graphical user interface, which is this 2D UI, like on the iPhone here, where you have things hidden behind apps and folders and it's two-dimensional and flat. We're bringing 3DUI, the 3D user interface, to the market, to where instead of just things being hidden behind apps, or excuse me, instead of things being hidden behind icons, you can actually have a museum with all your apps arranged in 3D space. You can have an office space with all your apps arranged in 3D space. You have unlimited access to organize your workflows however you'd like. So we are literally transitioning the world from responsive GUI interfaces as we know today to responsive 3DUI interfaces as we will soon know tomorrow. As a company, we have some major competitive advantages. Our competitor systems, they're all flat, they're boring, and they all look the same. I mean, take a look. Mac OS, Android, and Windows, they look pretty much the same. The only thing you can even customize is really the background image and the order of your apps. Whereas with VirtuOS, as you've probably seen already, our system is multidimensional, it's infinitely customizable, it's always in sync from device to device to device, and we're not limited by old design standards that our customers are already used to. For instance, with Windows, Windows 10 is a pretty locked down design standard, and for Microsoft to invent or introduce new innovative user interfaces, they have to worry, are our old users going to be comfortable with the new system? It's the same thing with Google. Google uses a material design standard, and it has to be true across all their devices in order to keep their brand guidelines alike. And Apple, as Apple becomes part of the 3D world and introduces new AR technology and so on, they're going to have to stick with their old design standards of these clean, elegant, app-based icons because that's what their customers have grown to expect. So that's one of our competitive advantages, is that as a company, VirtuOS, we're able to just start out innovative. We're able to come to the market with something fresh and new, and we don't have to worry about past design standards. And furthermore, one of our best competitive advantages is the fact that we are encompassing rather than competing. So VirtuOS can actually run on top of our competitor systems. You can run VirtuOS as an app on top of Windows or Mac or Android. You can run VirtuOS inside of a web browser. But also, when users have VirtuOS installed on their own computers, they can run Windows, Mac, and Android within VirtuOS. So it's this really unique way in which we are cross-compatible with everything, and we are like the system that holds the other systems inside of it. So I'd like to introduce the VirtuOS ecosystem. It's our job to teach people how to harness the power of virtual reality with or without a VR headset. If you want, you can go into VR, but really you get the power of VR on devices you're already used to. So it's our job to unlock the next dimension in computing across really, really special magical products. So it starts with a 3D operating system. We have a cloud HDMI stick. So all you do is plug in this $30 stick into the back of your TV or any screen. It connects to Wi-Fi or 5G, and that connects you to a PC in the cloud. $10 a month, $30 a month, maybe even free. You'll have access to a 3D computer off of this tiny little stick. From there, we've got our dual screen mobile devices, our dual screen laptops, which have the option of a physical keyboard, as well as a smart desk, where instead of your computer sitting on your desk, your computer is your desk. So this is our special lineup of 5 products that can bring us to market and pretty much overnight change the game and introduce us as the top most innovative company in computing. So I love this quote from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs said that the Macintosh is a bicycle for our minds, right? So if the 1984 Macintosh was a bicycle for our minds, then a 2018 or 2019 iMac, now that's a supercar for our minds. And in 2019, 2020, the Smart Desk, well, that's a spaceship for our minds in comparison to something like an iMac. Now, the iMac is 2-dimensional and a Smart Desk is 3-dimensional. So whereas a car is on a 2-dimensional road, a spaceship can fly and go into space in 3D. So literally, the Smart Desk is like a spaceship for our minds, and it's the first devices that people will really start to use to explore cyberspace. So I have a very simple approach to this audacious big goal of becoming the #1 company in computing. All it is an operating system, a few key hardware products, some key applications, and a marketplace. So with the operating system, I've already designed the 3D browser. We have the foundations for it. And when you combine our 3D browser with an open source kernel, you can literally install VirtuOS as an OS on top of any piece of hardware. And from there, if people already want to run VirtuOS on their old devices, guess what? You can download an app or just run VirtuOS in the browser. Really straightforward on how we're going to introduce an operating system. In terms of our products, I've already prototyped the Smart Desk for around $2,500 for 110 inches of screen. I've prototyped an HDMI mini console, as I explained earlier, and then I've mocked up the dual screen laptops and dual screen phones. So we're really close to ready to just hand off our designs to industrial designers and people who can help us build the ergonomics in-house that are going to make these devices absolutely amazing, top quality, and have cases and a user experience that people just love. In terms of the applications, the 3D web browser working prototype is complete. It's ready to develop some more features and bring it to market. 3D email is going to be a game-changing application. 3D search, we have the opportunity to own the search market for 3D computing. And then 3D productivity apps. And I have a model, an assembly line type of production model on how to actually be first to market across a variety of the top categories of software for 3D. And from there, we have the marketplace where we'll be able to sell our own hardware, software, content, and services, but we'll also be able to sell third-party hardware, software, content, and services, with services being the key place that we can innovate and offer not just apps and games and movies and things like that, but we can also offer things like staffing and logo design and business plans and all these things through third parties that ultimately brings more top-line revenue into our company and more value to our users. So again, this is a big audacious goal, but in 2020, joining the market is easier than it seems. Okay? Our trillion-dollar competitors started with ones and zeros. All they had was binary code to start their companies with. We're starting with high-speed internet, photorealistic graphics, plug-and-play technology, and our competitors, they basically open up their technology for us to API into and to integrate into our own 3D operating system, into our own software technology. So, to prove that I can pull this off, with a $10,000 loan, I was able to build a working 3D web browser, and within that same $10,000, I was also able to build a 110-inch smart desk with two 55-inch 4K displays. And I did this because I learned from Steve Wozniak, the inventor of the personal computer, Steve Jobs' partner, the co-founder of Apple. What he did was he came up with the most elegant way to take off-the-shelf chips and put them on a board, and he called it the Apple One. In my case, I'm creating an elegant way to connect existing tech in order to produce a game-changing solution. So, using APIs, off-the-shelf parts, simple manufacturing specs, and unlimited access to online talent, we as a company can catch up to our trillionaire competitors at a high speed with high quality and surprisingly low costs. Now again, creating a new computer ecosystem is certainly a complex task. However, today it's much more plug and play than one might expect. So, moving forward, it's really interesting to see how in the last few years we've seen billion-dollar companies pop up out of nowhere. They've been popping up like crazy. And I believe that's happening for a few reasons. A, it's happening because of high-speed internet. B, because the productivity tools that people are using are super, super mature. Tools like Salesforce, Google Docs, Office products, productivity tools, they have reached a point where they are just fantastic and collaborative and wonderful to use for new companies and existing companies to streamline their workflows and build amazing collaborative workflows. And then up next, another thing that's really special about the industry is that literally, if you need to hire someone, instead of posting a job ad in the newspaper, flying them out, having to get them to relocate and all of that, people can work from anywhere in the world. So if you need talent, you can find 100 people with the skill set you're looking for in no time and hire them remotely. So that, I believe, is a few of the reasons why we're seeing so many billion-dollar startups pop out of nowhere. And that's using technology of today. That's using the traditional Windows, Mac, and Android workflows that we're all used to right now. And my question is, what happens when people start using advanced business building toolkits like we're going to offer at VirtuOS? In this case, if you want to add another desk to your office, you click a button, you've got another desk. You want to recruit some staff members to work that desk, you just click a few buttons, you post your job ad, you see who's available to fill that role. You've got your file browser, you've got the ability to create 3D models to add into your office environments, you've got time management tools, calendar, statistics about your business, currency exchange, whatever you need. And of course, this works across all your devices, whether you're on a mobile device, a VR headset, a laptop, a tablet, a smart desk, or anything you want to connect with. That's something very special about our 3D Business Builders Toolkit. So I've had a variety of different clients that I've used as case studies along the way. Chaparral Ice being an ice rink that hired me and a friend of mine to basically figure out all the tools it takes to run an ice rink. From there, I've worked with startups like Home Improvement Girl to come up with a model for a small setup cost plus a monthly marketing budget plus some profit sharing and sales bonuses and a growable budget. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Google, they're not doing profit sharing. They're not getting equity in their clients' companies. We can if the client wants. And then Pet Rock Hotel is another cool example of a website where, through ourselves or a third-party company, we can provide website design, menu designs, and of course, credit card processing, where we can make basis points off of every client we have. And then here's a great example of a flagship client, New Turf Technology. This is my best case study. They had a $250,000 minimum startup budget. They hired me for $2,500 a month, super part-time as a concierge, and I'm doing this as a case study. $4,500 a month in app development through a third party, $1,000 a month in co-working space, $150 a month in phone lines and financed phones, plus they're providing us, or me in this case, equity, 3% equity non-dilutable, plus another 2% equity upon reaching $5 million in revenue. And then from there, by recommending industrial designers, that's more top-line revenue to us. They've done $120K to date in industrial design services. And then, of course, we have merchant processing to make basis points off of all the transaction the company does and more. So this is a really cool sample client that traditionally for Microsoft, Apple, and Google would just be buying some technology, some devices, maybe some software. But in our case, because we provide services, we're able to bring in so much more revenue. So we're lined up for an incredible number of income streams and income types. We're building relationships with our customers. We're building partnerships with our customers. We can do upfront sales like all the rest. We can bring in affiliate and referral earnings. We can earn equity and royalties, which is something that not many companies are doing right now. And then we can make basis points through merchant processing on all our customer transactions. We can do representation and brokering through our social neural networks, staffing, markup, and fees, subscription services. We can make interest from financing, bill reductions, concierge services, education sales, IP and licensing, custom projects. And because we're the company that's making the best software in the world for building businesses in 3D, chances are we're going to have some really cool in-house ventures and investment opportunities as well. So right now, my goal is to find our first angel investor. Mike Markkula was the first investor for Apple. He walked into Steve Jobs' garage and they had prototypes and they had a vision, and that's exactly where we are now. With VirtuOS, I have the prototype of the smart desk, I have the prototype of the 3D operating system as a 3D web browser, and I'm ready for that person to walk in and be our angel, to basically write that first check and be the Mike Markkula of VirtuOS. So I'm seeking a minimum of $500,000 with the goal of setting up the company, securing intellectual property, storyboarding the future of computing with some very wonderful storyboard artists, creating a detailed budget, continuing software and hardware development, bringing on industrial designers, and preparing ourselves for a wonderful Series A round of financing, and ultimately to move from the garage to an office. So we're looking for that first wonderful angel investor, and hopefully that's you. So let's go ahead and compare ourselves to Apple real quick. Apple has a single screen phone that's two-dimensional. Everything's hidden behind icons. Our phone is dual screen. It has game controls. It has pull-out earbuds. It has a 3D operating system, a 3D interface. It's 3DOI, not GUI. Apple makes you buy a laptop and a tablet separate. We have a two-in-one dual screen laptop product with optional physical keyboard. You can buy an iMac to put on your desk, or you can get a smart desk that is your desk. And then companies make software development kits that are pretty boring and gray. Our job is to make this beautiful, colorful software development kit. And more than just making software, you can actually build businesses with our development kit as well. And then Apple is the highest grossing retail store in the world. Through our hardware, our software, our content, and ultimately because we're offering services in this unique new way, we should have the opportunity to be the highest grossing store beyond Apple, because ultimately we can charge more and earn more from our customers through all the services we provide. So that's the basics. That's the last slide right there. And yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this presentation. I hope you see that, again, this is a practical guide on how to become the #1 computer company, the #1 ecosystem that makes the operating system, that makes the devices themselves, that makes the key applications and the marketplace, and has figured out a way to do it in a really special and unique and relatively easy to achieve way for 2020. Because after all, it's 2020, all the hard work is out of the way, and now it's our job to focus on the customer experience and the end user design that is just going to be magical, three-dimensional, animated, and beautiful for everyone who wants to use the next generation of computing.